Sex used to be defined as procreating. The purpose of gods and Buddhas making males and females was for making descendants to populate the earth. Sex organs used to be described as organs used for procreation. That's what they're for. We'll use that as the letter P, because like PPs are for procreating. But I mean, it's good news for those who are into other things, because I mean, Germany made up this term called homosexuality, along with some other things, and about 160, well, it was 1875, wait, that was, anyways, how long ago? Or 1869, 69, dude, homosexuality is coined. That was in Germany by a guy named Karl Heinrich Ulrichs. And he made a whole nother definition for sexuality, for sex organs and everything. He said, it's normal human behavior to do other stuff with your sex organs than procreating. And this is called a sexuality. So he created the term homosexuality. And there was no word for homosexuality. There was no term for homosexuality in any language in the world until about 150 years ago. Homosexuality entered the Bible, for instance. It's now in the Bibles, Christian Bibles, homosexuality, the term, right? It's just become accepted everywhere. And that only entered the Bibles about 70 years ago. Before that, there were terms for like male prostitute, things like that. And anyways, now we have, it's good news for those who are into other things, because now we have the LGBTQAKNDMOVS, etc. And so I'm just going to go into the definition of what these things mean. LGBTQAKNDMOVS. And then you can understand it better. So L stands for lesbian. Lesbian means that it's two girls that like touching each other, licking each other, whatever. That this is a sexuality. And gay means two men doing the same kind of thing. Bi means it doesn't matter what hole you put it in, they all have holes, or whatever, that kind of thing. Anyways, it's just into general being touched. They like being touched. Trans means, well, for instance, my sister married a guy with two pinky fingers, and one's growing out of his other finger. It's very dysfunctional, whatever. Trans means that you were born with more than one sexual organs, or else you had a sex change. But like, let's say it was, the definition was that you were born with a little bit different, kind of a thing where you've got a deformity, right? That just means that you are barren. You can't have children. That's what it means. It doesn't mean that you've got a sexuality. It means you don't have a sexuality. Anyways. But this Karl Heinrich Ulrichs would say, oh yeah, no, that's a sexuality. You should embrace that and probably be whatever, being touched by everybody. That's what it basically means. Queer is a bit of a strange one, because it actually means strange. It means a minority behavior that the public hasn't accepted as normal. Queer can basically embrace a whole bunch of other things. And so the typical thing you see is LGBTQ. And All the other ones are pretty straightforward, LGBT. But Q, I mean, I think that sort of embraces a kind of the next step they want to go in, which could very well be like there's a place in Quebec where it was like a brothel that was full of dogs, and people would come, guys typically would go and have sex with dogs, like literally have sex with pit bulls or whatever. I lived in Montreal. My neighbor, he had a female pit bull who he called his girlfriend. He told us that he had sex with her. And they acted like lovers. Like they would just sit beside each other. They'd be like cuddling all the time. It was weird. Anyways, good news for them. You know, this is a sexuality. This is totally accepted now. And there's a big movement making this totally socially acceptable. I mean, all those people in prison for having sex with animals, hey, you've been wrongfully convicted. Anyways, there you go. You know, this is probably the queer that they're talking about. They're going in that direction because there are people who are definitely in. I mean, you start doing that kind of stuff with your animal, you're probably going to get sexually excited when you see their animal, right? But that doesn't mean it's sexuality. Anyways, whatever. Also, in on the internet, if you search for pedosexual, you can find it. You can find it, and you will see that it's now becoming a term on the internet. Germany is becoming a term. I've heard people talking about how it's becoming a term as a normal sexuality in Germany, which of course is where homosexuality, the term, came from as well. And also in California, there was a law being passed, trying to be passed, making it legal to have sex with children. So that's the K, LGBTQAK. And that's just, I mean, what, you don't like wrinkly skin, and so you're going after like innocence or whatever, you know? It's just really disturbing. But I mean, all those guys in prison that are in prison for having sex with children, well, it's good news for them, eh? You know, like they've been wrongfully convicted. Okay, necrosexual means you like having sex with dead people. Yeah, anyways, that speaks for itself. Maybe you like that stuff, maybe it turns you on, you know what I mean? Then it's definitely you are a necrosexual. If it, anyways, whatever. Dolly, those blow up dolls, yeah, maybe you fall in love with one. Maybe you get totally excited about the idea of playing with dolls, and so you're a dollysexual, or maybe you're a self-sexual. Masturbation. You like touching yourself. Yeah, that speaks for itself. And you just like it. You don't like dealing with other people. You don't like dealing with other things. You just like dealing with yourself. That's it. Or maybe it's more specific. You like specifically olive oil. It stands for olive oil, right? Like Popeye. Olive oil. Olive oil is a symbol for, like, his girlfriend is a symbol for the tall, slender olive oil. You know what I'm talking about with Popeye, the cartoon. That's to symbolize olive oil. Maybe, you know, to say he's an olive oil sexual. Anyways, vacuum. Yeah, who knows? Maybe you want to stick it into a vacuum. You know what I mean? And then you get excited when you hear a vacuum. Whoa, you know, it's like, oh wow, I totally want to get some of that vacuum. So you're a vacuum sexual. Okay, so sadomasochism. S. Now this is just like, yeah, you like being hurt, or you like hurting people, and there's a sexuality. This is probably a very likely one that will become public if this continues in this direction very quickly, because it's already pretty public, pretty right out there. So, anyways, it speaks for itself, though. You like spanking, or you like being spanked, and it really, you're just a spanking sexual, let's say, for S, or being spanked sexual. Anyways, whatever. Stupid people, stupid things, and we have to stop this direction that we're going in. Sex used to be defined as an act of procreating. The purpose of gods and Buddhas making males and females was for making descendants to populate the earth. Sex organs used to be described as organs used for procreation. That's what they're for. They are not for sticking in the mouth, or the butt, or the whatever, or the armpit, or the whatever. It's not for sticking in any hole that looks like it might fit. That is not what they're for. And using sex organs for that is an abomination. It is, in the Christian, it's in the Jewish scriptures. If two men were caught doing this to each other, this kind of act with each other, they were to be killed. Forget prison, where pedophiles and people having sex with animals or whatever are, they're sent to prison. Forget that. People, two guys doing this stuff to each other, licking each other's genitals, naughty bits. Then they're supposed to be killed. Stoned, dead. So. This is not something to be laughed at. There are gods and Buddhas. They did make us. Darwinism isn't. There's no proof for it, and it didn't happen. And we're created by gods and Buddhas, and they are watching us. And they are disgusted by our behavior, and they are disgusted by the direction we're going in, and very worried about it. Lesbian, gay, bi, trans, queer, animals, kids, necrosexual, dollies, masturbation, olive oil, vacuum, sadomasochism. That's all just, wow. Just really, 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 really bad direction to go in.